have to clean that up. So let's go up and take a look at the chickens, okay? So also, while we're on our way up here, so a couple channels we've been enjoying, still enjoying Farmer Always. I love it. I hope you guys will go check it out. And on Farmer Always, they are trying to name some calves, some heifers, so some girl calves, and they're looking for names that start with L. So go find Farmer Always on YouTube and go find their video from this past week. I'll look it up, try to put the right name down in the description and comments, but it has like name the calves, contest, Easter. I'm sorry, y'all at Farmer Always, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the video, but I'll find it. But y'all watching, go find Farmer Always, go find the video from the last week of March about naming the calves, and they're looking for girls' names that start with L, or names that would, you know, would sound reasonable for a girl cow, okay, for a heifer, for a cow. So they would love to have your feedback and participation on naming their calves, and that's just, it's a fun way to interact on the platform. So a fun and safe way to interact on the platform. So check out Farmer Always. I also saw some videos from a channel called That's a Farm. All cap letters, THATSAFARM, That's a Farm. And I've only seen a few videos from there. The ones I saw I liked. My impression was a young guy from a farm or ag background making these videos, and he does a great job with editing and with details in his videos. I enjoyed the ones I saw, so wanted to mention That's a Farm, THATSAFARM. Check him out, and I'm going to watch some more of those during this week, and continue to see what's on his video options. So the one I watched was about 3 ways to make an income with chickens, 3 ways to make money with chickens. It was a good video, very good video. I really, really liked it, and very, like I said, very good at the editing and making really unique and memorable and interesting details in the video. So the very things that I'm not good at. The very things I'm not strong at really jumped out to me as strengths of his as a video creator. And I thought that was really cool. So check him out. Farmer Always, and That's a Farm. Okay. So that being said, now we're looking at the chickens. Let's talk about these chickens. So 20 days old, 17 more days to go. I know it seems crazy. What do I want to say about that? Here's the thing with meat birds. I know they still look little. But here's the thing with meat birds, and here's why producers of poultry, in my opinion, this is why we do this, delineate a start phase, grow phase, and finish phase. And I would say, I would call these birds being in the grow phase, okay? So in a start phase, when chicks are little, like everything inside their body has to start to kick in, like how to, you know, utilize the water they drink, how to digest the food they take in, how to excrete the food that they took in, you know, so everything about the organs has to go from, you know, this developing chick to working full tilt for supporting this rapid growth, right? So we call that the start phase, when those things are beginning and having to kick in, okay? When digestion is starting, when metabolism is starting, when respiration is getting strong. So all those processes, okay? Now, we do call this, and feathering in as they're getting feathers. So we do call the first 2 weeks the starting phase. Now we say we're in the growing phase. What we mean by that is these birds have, you know, the organs inside the bird, those organ systems are functioning well, they're going full tilt, and the birds are able to, you know, eat, drink, manure, rest, and respond to their environment. Okay, the healthy, thriving birds have those abilities. So they'll go through this growing phase next that these birds are in now, where so in the first phase, everything they ate and drank, that energy had to be put into getting the organ systems running, functioning 100%. Now that we're in the growing phase, all the feed that goes in, that can go more into building that skeletal structure. And we can support that by keeping the legs strong, feeding them well, feeding them consistently, making sure water never runs out, making sure lighting intensity and ambient temperature are reasonably comfortable for the flock overall, okay? So in the growing phase, everything they're eating, they got to put it into continuing to grow the skeletal structure. All right, and then what we interpret as, sorry, the camera didn't keep up. What we interpret as the finished phase is when we get most of the frame size on these birds and the skeletal structure is basically grown to the point that that bird's genetics are kind of, you know, our genetics kind of have a program or a sequence. And so once that bird gets to its frame size based on its genetics, then we kind of consider that as being the completion of the growing phase. And then they're in the finish phase where all of the food that they're eating, all the energy they're taking in, finally can go totally to feed to meat conversion. And that's when we see meat birds super bulk up. And that's why they say, like, for example, even on a 5 or 6 week production schedule, you're going to see the most growth from these birds the last 10 days, because by that time, the organs have established functioning, the skeletal structure has filled out to its capacity, and now we can see the bird really accomplish the feed to meat conversion and pack on the meat, okay? So that's what we talk about with the finish phase. So these birds are in the growing phase, and we're going to see them go into a finish phase soon, but they're doing really well. So in this pen, there's actually 122. So let me walk around the corner of the barn here, show you number 123. There are still 123 living. We took one out yesterday. So we're kind of counting them 122, but we took one out. We're not prepared to say it's a cull bird that's not going to make it through production, and we're not going to euthanize it, but it was definitely injured. So over here is our group of 12 pullets that will go into egg production. They're a month old. There's an extra bird in here now. Can you pick them out? So it's the white one sitting down. We'll zoom in. The white one standing up is like the Americana Easter egger. The white one sitting down that you're seeing is the Cornish rock cross meat chicken. The Cornish rock cross meat chicken there is 20 days old. All these other birds here are like 31 days old. So that 20-day-old bird accomplished the amount of growth that it took these birds like 12 days longer to do. Now these other birds seem better feathered in though, right? The feathering's not as filled in and consistent on the meat bird. So the body mass, you know, is outgrowing the feathering pattern. So anyway, so we'll do some videos more on this bird in the coming week, the meat bird that's sitting down there, but it's gonna stay here a bit. It's over here because definitely an injured bird. What I saw of it, so when it was over here yesterday, and the reason we pulled it out, it was under this light closest to us, and I'm showing you there, and it was breathing heavier than the rest of them, which kind of got my attention anyway. And then I watched it 10 or 15 minutes more, and several birds ran over top of it, and it wouldn't get up. And I said to myself, something's wrong with that birdie. We need to help that birdie. And so went over to see if it would stand and walk, and it would not. And so presented like a leg injury, but also has a bruise on a wing like a wing injury. Well, if that bird had stayed over here, you know, the stalking density is thicker over here. These birds aren't crowded, but a bird with limited mobility is going to have a difficulty over here, okay? A bird with limited mobility is going to have less stress over here, even though these birds are more active, but they're less likely to be stepping on this bird. And so I really had really low outlook for this meat bird that's laying down there when I moved it yesterday. But before I started recording, I saw that bird up, hobbling around. It was way over by the feed can, closer to the barrier wall, the temporary barrier wall, and it's made its way back over here. And that's why there's a feeder on the ground, not on risers like that one, and a water on the ground, not on risers like the one with the purple base over there, so that that bird, when it wants to get to food and water, we've established it can get there, that short distance, but it doesn't have to stand up to reach, okay? And that's the difficulty that happens. This is a white leghorn. That's the difficulty that happens for injured or rump birds in large commercial meat poultry production operations, if they can't reach the feeders and waters or get to the feeders and waters, they'll starve or dehydrate. And if they can't get out of the way when the other birds are crowding them, they will end up getting, smashed, trampled, suffocated. So we are watching this, watching how the other birds are interacting. We haven't seen unusual or unreasonable picking or pecking at the meat bird in here. We watched the interaction, but they've been good with it. And there's no open wound on that bird. We just saw bruising on the wing. And that in itself, we'll have to watch that, because a lot of times if you see a meat bird get bruising during production, that bruising is going to show up in the finished product, in the meat, after you process that bird. So that in itself might just prevent us from sending that bird. But I do have higher hopes now that that bird is going to recover. And so that in itself, I'm going to end this by saying, and that anecdote about, we had something odd happen on YouTube. I'll just tell you real quick. I had a comment come through on a video that I ended up removing. The comment didn't match up with the video content at all. And when I went to check out that channel for that commenter's profile, at the top of it was a banner that said buy YouTube views. And and so I'm like, no, this is not what we do here. So I went back to that comment on that video and I deleted it, because that's not what we do here. We don't buy YouTube views. We don't buy YouTube subscribes. We hope to get to 1,000 plus. We hope to apply for YouTube paid partner, but we aren't going to buy our way there. So, and so I want to wrap this up. And what was the last thing I want to say? What I want to say is this one statement is worth show and tell and share on the farm video to me. I hope you stayed to the end. But that in itself, being able to take a bird that limited mobility, would not make it in a huge flock if it didn't get special intervention and specialized attention, being able to take that bird out of that relatively large flock, and put it in a calmer area with less activity, less stocking density, where we can utilize that space as a recovery pen for that bird. That's what your small farmers, small family farms, small producers, that's what they can do for livestock. And so I know the price point is different when you buy grocery store meat versus when you buy small producer meat products, but that's what is different. The small producer has the opportunity to really ramp up the attention to individual quality of life. Large producers are definitely having to be focused on group quality of life. But sometimes in those groups, there's individuals that need a little bit of intervention or a little slightly different care. And in a large operation, you just can't always differentiate like that. But in a small operation, you can. So when y'all do support small farmers, small producers, your local meat producers, and your local agriculture, you are enabling producers to provide excellent quality of life to livestock in production. And that statement in itself, to me, is worth this show, tell, and share video. And so I hope you hung around to hear it. So that one's resting. And that's exactly what an injured animal needs, is nutrition, hydration, and rest. And we hope that we end up with recovery there, but we'll see. Time will tell. And there is one over here that is very small. We'll also have to say time will tell on that one. We'll see how it turns out. I can't pick it out just right now. But anyway, so far so good with this flock. And thanks for joining us. And videos this week coming up. We had some extra footage from last week. We'll edit and trim. Going to use this coming week about the injured bird, about this flock, and about things going on around our home. They built nest boxes for the production reds. And this one right here, y'all see this one walking? We got a leg sore there. So we'll be checking that out. If it's in the foot, if it's in the leg, and if that one becomes less mobile, we'll move it to a recovery pen area as well. So that's what we can do in these smaller sized, small scaled operations. We can give individual attention for interventions to hopefully get those animals to the end of production but to at least help the animal have better quality of life. So we will do a video that was just the family cutting up when we made those nest boxes probably. We'll probably upload that this coming week. But thanks y'all for supporting Twin Oaks Family Farm. God bless you, and we'll see you again another time.